Eric Swalwell of sexual.
Okay. Let's talk about Swalwell because he has dropped out of the California governor's race. But also, here we go. Swalwell is resigning from Congress.
Moments ago, California Congressman Eric Swalwell announced he will resign from Congress in the wake of serious allegations of sexual assault and misconduct. Allegations first published in the San Francisco Chronicle and by CNN that have now ended Swalwell's candidacy for California's open governor's seat. The San Francisco Chronicle spoke with a former member of Swalwell's congressional staff who detailed multiple encounters that she had with Swalwell that included unwanted sex. Her allegations include 2 detailed graphic accounts of encounters which resulted in the woman waking up without clothes on in Swalwell's hotel room. The San Francisco Chronicle corroborated her account of events with text and Snapchat messages the staff were exchanged with friends and Swalwell in the immediate aftermath of those encounters, along with medical records, which MS Now has reviewed. Those records.
There's more allegations coming. Oh, for sure. And was it New York? Swalwell investigation. An investigation's been opened into sexual assault allegation against. It's the Manhattan DA's office. They have officially opened an investigation into the claim that he sexually assaulted a woman. And it is the woman whose allegations were reported by SF Chronicle. And then she was also mentioned along with 3 other women's allegations in the CNN report.
Records detail pregnancy and STD testing that was administered a week after an encounter with Swalwell. In a statement ending his gubernatorial campaign, Eric Swalwell said this, quote, "To my family, staff, friends, and supporters, I am deeply sorry for mistakes in judgment I've made in my past. I will fight the serious false allegations that have been made, but that's my fight, not a campaign's." This afternoon, the House Ethics Committee announced it will be opening an investigation into Congressman Swalwell. And again, moments ago, in a social media post, Eric Swalwell announced that he will be resigning from Congress.
And I said this before, but it was as soon as there were rumors, not rumors, as soon as there was initial reporting that serious allegations were going to come out, it was over because, one, Swalwell is a Democrat, and there are obviously plenty of Democrats who get away with abhorrent behavior, but there are different standards. And yes, Blue MAGA is screaming on online about how this is unfair and clearly a smear campaign that's being orchestrated by powerful people on the right. But there are higher standards when it comes to sexual misconduct on the Democrat side than on the Republican side. So when this started to kind of come together, and then when Swalwell essentially got caught lying, it was over because he tried to deny even having improper relations with women who were not his wife. And obviously he is still denying the sexual assault allegations, but he has had to kind of own up to being unfaithful to his wife. So he already got caught lying there. And then the rest of it is just, it's going to continue to, to keep going. His story kept changing. Yeah. Who's the top pick for California governor now? Tom Steyer. Tom Steyer. Yay. My leftist king, Tom Steyer. Oh, yeah, that's as good as it gets for the California
I want
governor's
to bring in
race.
co-founder of Punchbowl News and political contributor Jake Sherman and our congressional reporter Michael Snell. Michael, tell me how this came
Better
about,
than
this
Newsom?
resignation. This has snowballed since CNN's
Yeah.
story and San Francisco Chronicle's reporting broke Friday afternoon.
Yeah, Katie, it snowballed very quickly, right? It was just hours after that San Francisco Chronicle and CNN article had published Friday afternoon that Eric Swalwell posted a video on social
I just think rightfully so. There is, at minimum, hesitation when you're talking about a billionaire running for office. Just, yes, there are other billionaires who have been elected, other billionaires who have run. Michael Bloomberg literally spent money to put himself on the debate stage for the presidential election. But yeah, it's just fundamentally a class conflict of interest when you have a billionaire, no matter that billionaire having, yes, more progressive policies than the other candidates in the race. It still is just not ideal.
media calling these allegations flat, false, and vowing to fight against them. And then, as you just mentioned,
He won't be Katie Porter. He won't be Eric Swalwell because Eric Swalwell is no longer has a political career. He will be better than Newsom, but yeah, I mean, as I said, it's just still not ideal to have the leading and best candidate be a billionaire.
Sunday night, late last night, he put out another statement saying he was suspending his campaign for governor. And now, less than 24 hours later, Eric Swalwell saying he is resigning from Congress. I'll note he
Could
still
end
is
up with
saying,
Republican,
quote, "I will
for
fight
sure.
the serious
Yep,
false
for sure.
allegations made against me." He adds, though, however, I must take responsibility and ownership for the mistakes I did make. He also says that it's not right for his constituents to have to watch him fight these allegations, so he's going to do it
He's
outside
like,
of
"What's
Congress."
genocide?
This was really the buildup as it was becoming more and more likely.
What's crazy though is Tom Steyer being like, "What's genocide?" on Hassan's stream. He's still better than Katie Porter and was better than Swalwell on Israel and Palestine.
That Eric Swalwell was going to be expelled from Congress. We saw a growing number of Democrats and Republicans up here on Capitol Hill calling on him to resign and saying if he didn't resign, they would vote for his expulsion. Just minutes before Eric Swalwell said he was resigning from Congress, there was a statement from Senator Ruben Gallego. He was the chair of Eric Swalwell's 2020 presidential campaign, a very, very close friend of Eric Swalwell. He said that he should be expelled from Congress and add.
Now, it's not just the Democrats who have lost a Democrat. It's also the Republicans, because Tony Gonzales in Texas has announced, I think it was today, also announced that he is resigning, and that is due to the allegation that he coerced a staff member into a sexual relationship. And that staff member later killed herself. So it's a horrible story. And there was a growing outcry from a bipartisan outcry from House members for him to step down. He's a third-term congressman, and he was in the middle of a really competitive, nasty primary, and then text messages came out that showed him pursuing her. And let's see what he had to say. He said, "There's a season for everything, and God has a plan for us all. Go to fucking hell. When Congress returns tomorrow, I will file my retirement from office." His message came hours after Eric Swalwell announced his own intention to resign from Congress amid allegations he sexually assaulted a former staff member. Regina Santos Aviles is the staff member who was in Gonzales's office, and he sent her texts sexual texts in 2024, according to her husband's lawyer. And honestly, the details of her suicide are horrifying. She set herself on fire, and that happened last September. Gonzales had denied any sexual relationship at the time, but then admitted to the affair in March, called it a lapse in judgment. And then he was accused of pursuing a second staff member whom he was coercing into sending nude photographs and coercing sex. Now, this guy is fucking horrible. Oh, you know who his challenger is? His challenger is Brandon Herrera. Brandon Herrera, who is a YouTuber. His YouTube channel is The AK Guy. He's a firearms manufacturer and a gun rights advocate. And yeah, he's a gun tuber. A second he's a 2A'er. Yeah, this guy sucks. This is him. I don't even know how to. Have you seen the Aussies video with him? No.
A famous man once said, "There is no real ending. It's just the place where you stop the story." Who said that? What does it even mean? Doesn't matter. I said it because he said it, so now he was famous, and it's basically getting said by two well-known guys. I don't...
Oh, this guy is nuts.
Tell you what, let's just start from the beginning.
I'm telling you, Texas has some of the craziest of the crazies.
There'll be no strings to bind your hands, not if my love can bind your.
And he's running in Uvalde's district. Yeah. Yep. He is running in the district that had one of the most horrific mass shootings. It's the gun guy.
Concealing a gun in your pants is really hard. You know, it's not an easy thing to do. And luckily, there's a YouTube channel dedicated to exactly what fashion choices you need to make to be able to hide from everyone the fact that you could kill them at any second. If I were brand new to concealed carry, I would buy these clothes.
Okay, that is perfect to us because we are brand new to concealed carry.
I'm brand new to clothes.
Yeah, me too. So all of this is new.
I'm glad we finally got something to learn. What I find really funny just straight off the bat is that it says don't wear this. And it's like possibly the gayest sentence that exists in English.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be seen in that. But like these are gun guys, but like big masculine guys, and be like the 10 do's and don'ts of being a gun guy in the order.
Yeah, exactly. But also I am slightly jealous of them because it's like they're playing life like they're a video game character.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, I'm specking out my clothes for my weapon. Because it's like, if you are carrying a weapon, that honestly should be the only thing you're ever thinking about.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everything else should revolve around your weapon. It's a big responsibility, so kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to spec.
This isn't the video with Brandon Herrera. That video's on the channel. I did a thing. The video's called I Put a Gun on a Robot Dog.
So we're heading to Robb Elementary School in Uvalde.
We
Now,
spent
not long ago,
a day with
kid turned
YouTube's
18,
biggest
he bought
gun
two
nut.
semi-automatic rifles and just went into this school and killed 19 kids and 2 teachers. Now you might think a situation like this would make Americans rethink their relationship with guns, but you'd be wrong, because just down the road.
Just to give you a couple other tidbits on this guy. So he is the AK guy on YouTube. He has faced criticism for past videos in which he mimics a Nazi march to Nazi music, jokes about the Holocaust, boasts about his 1939 edition of Mein Kampf. Okay. Yeah. And he's running in a district that carried Trump by a 17-point margin in 2024. And he was the guy challenging Tony Gonzales, who is the third-term Republican congressman who just dropped out. We were just talking about him because of his own sexual misconduct, which then seems to have resulted in the staff member who he sexually abused taking her own life in a very, very violent way. So he's gone, and now it's this guy.
He's one of the biggest gun enthusiasts in the country.
We're here to spend a day with famous gun YouTuber
Lulu, thank you for the 5 months.
Brandon Herrera. Now, these videos are awesome, but with the constant mass shootings in the US, his stuff can get kind of hard to watch. So we came here to find out how Americans like Brandon justify their love of guns. He doesn't just, enjoy his hobby and ignore the mass shootings. No, when gun violence happens in his country, Brandon's answer is we need more guns.
The awful shooting that happened just down the road from us in Uvalde. The message that you should be getting from this is that you can't always count on the police to be there to protect you. One of the biggest reasons to own a gun is for your own protection.
You can
Don't
never
allow yourself to be a soft target. Don't be a victim.
Now, it sounds counterintuitive to us, but this obviously resonates with a lot of Americans. It's tricky, right? I mean, gun owners like Brandon are obviously genuinely
just
sad
arm the
about
kids. Arm the
incidents
kids.
of gun violence.
Arm the babies.
I mean, unless the guy who got shot is a left-wing BLM protester, then apparently it becomes a funny meme, which I had to censor for YouTube.
You versus the guy she told you not to worry about. Those tactical blue surgical gloves so he can slot commies without having to touch them.
But there's other stuff on his channel too. You can learn about gun maintenance, rare and historical guns. He even teaches you how to exploit loopholes in existing gun legislation to get your hands on more powerful weaponry.
FRT is definitely a loophole, but it does, by the letter of law, make it not a machine gun.
Now, by his own admission, American gun laws are pretty flimsy.
Just a reminder that in this country, pretty much everything's legal if you fill out the right forms and give the government enough money.
But the lack of gun regulation doesn't stop Brandon. He's still wholeheartedly keeping up the fight against gun laws that barely exist.
When they say, we aren't going to take your guns, they're actually telling the truth. You're not going to take shit because I'm not going to give you shit.
Now, we're obviously from Australia and we have a different relationship with guns, right? We had one big mass shooting in 1996. Now, everyone thought to themselves,
Oh, Trump has endorsed him. Of course. Of course.
I'd rather that never happened again. And within 12 weeks, the government brought in gun control.
He's an America
And not only have
First
we never had a mass
grassroots
shooting
leader.
Since, and gun crime has gone down, but all homicides in general went down as well. I mean, at the start, we had a much less handsome version of Brandon here in Australia who was upset about it.
And I'm not going to give up any guns that they're going to take off me. Are you going to give yours up?
But very quickly, everyone stopped caring. I mean, thanks to gun control, no one even thinks about gun violence here. No, seriously, you can do stuff like this and no one bats an eyelid. But now, why would a freedom-loving guy like Brandon invite Aussie gun control fanatics into his house? Well, Brandon was collaborating with Alex's other channel, I Did a Thing, to put a gun on this robot dog.
Alrighty, let's put a gun on this thing.
What could go wrong?
So while they were making their
Americans
gun
are
dog, I thought
so
I could make my own little video on the
obsessed with
side.
guns.
And I
They
asked
make it
Brandon
their
if we could
entire
sit down and I could
personality.
interview him about American gun culture. And we weren't expecting it, but it turns out Brandon's friend, Donut Operator, also came to hang out. Now, this guy's an ex-cop who does some very detailed breakdowns of police shootings on YouTube. But in a lot of cases, it involves him somehow defending cops who shoot unarmed civilians.
I'm shocked.
Then listen to my instructions. I'm trying to do it. Don't talk, listen! As far as the shooting goes, it looks like Daniel could have been reaching for something in his waistband. While shooting an unarmed man does sound terrible, a lot of times there are some little details that they like to leave out.
You might have guessed it by now, but Donut is also a gun guy.
Hi everyone, Donut here.
What, the details being that the man was a black child?
Today we're going to talk about my son John's first gun.
Right.
Oh my
so
God.
There we were, just in Brandon's office.
I've been so I saw all the rings, I remember this scene at all.
Are you telling me I downloaded the wrong movie?
Yeah, I think that's an American-only one that we don't have.
We don't get it. They
Oh my God, no, not them giving Gandalf a machine gun.
It's lame. It takes
Or a
like twice as
shotgun.
long for the movie to finish.
Now, all politics aside, on a personal level, Brandon is an incredibly nice guy. He took us in with open arms and was very excited to give us Australians our first American gun experience. And before you know it, we were exploring the office together, just playing all sorts of gun games.
Will you be impressed if I can name any of these?
I would, because I can't name half.
M1 Grand.
Yes, this is M1 Grand.
Incorrect.
Fuck. M1 Grand.
Nope.
M1 Grand?
No, I know that's
I'll help you out. Let's go.
You get a whole room just full of them?
Yeah, I mean, nice guy because they're making a YouTube video of him. A couple Aussies making a YouTube video of him.
Whoa.
M1 Grand.
M1 Garand.
Whoa, how did you know?
Now,
So
no
that's why he
joke,
was
Brandon
nice to
had,
them.
Like thousands of guns. Like he was an expert teaching us everything he knew, and we felt like we were on some interactive tour of like the world's biggest gun museum. But it was just this one dude's house.
So the action of this one
Yeah, it
is
said
based on a
BLM
barrel
protesters should be
reciprocation
shot.
system. You put the fire control group in front of the magazine. It's like a quick change barrel system. You just hit this lever,
What?
and your barrel can come
And then you got a police baton.
beat the shit out of somebody with it.
His house is a testament to America's lax gun laws. He owned missiles and
That is
mini guns
fucking
and even weapons that I've
insane.
never
America
heard of.
is an
You just drop a
insane
can
country.
down here like a soda can.
We are insane. We're out here screaming about Iran having nuclear weapons, which they have never come close to. Meanwhile, you got people with fucking missiles in their kitchen.
Yeah.
And
Obsessed with killing machines.
How do you just?
Meanwhile, America, the only country that has ever utilized a nuclear bomb on another country.
It's not like a self-defense.
oh no, this is totally for fun.
Oh my God.
There is no reason to.
You're a death
Honestly, I was
cult.
quite
We
surprised,
really are.
but we were getting along really well. And it's not just because he's a good-looking dude.
Brandon looks hot when he goes to the gate, opens it. I think Brandon's a sexy man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We realized that we got along so well because he's a massive dork. He's a nerd just like us, except, you know, he's a gun nerd.
They used this like the stormtroopers used it. I think they had it. I think it was in like the Battle of Hoth too. If I'm being super nerdy about it. That RPG-2 is used in Indiana Jones. They made it look like a Panzerfaust, but they didn't have one. They had an RPG.
This guy's going to be in Congress,
Made it
yeah.
look like a German rocket launcher. But
Yeah.
some of the stuff, you know, I find online like collector's auctions, stuff like that. Some people collect stamps, I guess.
It's weird. I realize the way that Brandon talks about guns, it's very similar to people who collect Pokemon cards or Funko Pops, you know, except their hobby, like, is designed to kill people.
This is a Type 1 AK-47, so this is like basically their first batch ever run of the AK from 19.
Brandon Legend Herrera. Heart.
Whoa.
So this is all original barrel, everything.
At this point, we had so many questions, but before we could do the interview, Brandon was going to show us firsthand what loving guns is all about.
Fuck yeah.
Au revoir, Shoshana.
It was beautiful. We were having an amazing time. Like, we tried our best to impress Brandon with our newfound gun skills, but obviously our Australianness was showing.
This is a shotgun.
Shotgun.
This is shotgun that's been sawed off. Fuck me! Okay, I'm not holding onto this thing properly.
Hold tight.
Holy shit. I knocked myself out with one of these things.
Killed the shit out of the dirt like 15
Yeah,
feet
I
in
just
front of
shot
us.
my own
I
self.
just, how do I say this? I feel like there's so much, and I don't know where this video is going, but just in general, there's so much men who are decently good looking and are, I don't know, not every second of the day saying horrible things, they really get away with so much. They really do. It's like all the clavicular shit where people were baby girling clavicular. And I felt like I was losing my mind. And I'm like, why do we always do this? The bar is so fucking low that there's he casually dropped a Nazi quote from Inglourious Bastards in there. Yeah, he's a neo-Nazi. Okay, he's a neo-Nazi who thinks there should be no restrictions on guns. And the bar is really in hell. It is. It's really in hell.
How's that?
Yeah, terrifying. I think maybe next time they should make it a bit longer. That'd be my tip. Oh, you should try it one-handed. No.
It's like I just saw fucking Nick Fuentes again have a piece in the New York Times talking about how Nick Fuentes is out there trying to earn the college vote. It's just like the constant normalizing and kind of chummy vibes for these white nationalist men.
Sure. Fuck, not even with just one round?
I'll do one round one-handed.
Yeah.
Get rid of the sweat on my hand. I don't want to do it.
No, come on, do it. Peer pressure. Okay, so it's the other one.
No, I don't want to. Fuck this.
You got it.
Fuck this. No,
Oh,
fuck
come
that.
on.
Not doing that one-handed.
Be a man.
Look, we came to the range, we brought enough guns to start an insurrection, but Brandon and his mates must have thought we still weren't safe enough, and they brought their concealed carry guns too.
Skip.
Oh, I'm not judging.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip a little bit.
Shall not be infringed.
But their liberty never seems to extend to anyone else.
Okay, let's see.
To protect this freedom from a tyrannical government.
The importance of firearms to fight government overreach and fight government tyranny. The right of the people shall not be infringed.
But their liberty never seems to extend to anyone else. Like, this anti-government stance gets really confusing when you see how much these gun guys seem to love the police. You know, the police are part of the government, right? And it's their job to use violence to enforce the government's rules. And America's police force is currently the world's third biggest army. And all these gun guys have, collected all these guns to, fight the government. But it hasn't stopped the government from locking up more citizens than any country in the world. I mean, not just that, these gun guys seem to be consistently on the side of the government when the police are attacking citizens.
And we are also going to talk about defunding the police. One of the dumbest
Yeah, also, if someone were to shoot a cop who broke into their house like that, these guys would not be
things
supporting
you could
that.
ever do. Ever.
Yeah, they're
I'm
signing
not sure
up
what's
for
going
ICE.
on here, right? Maybe the kind of people who get a sense of masculinity from firing big guns might be more likely to look up to the big, strong policeman.
Can I just stop right here and point out how absolutely freaking tactical this man looks? By God, I will quit YouTube tomorrow and go work for the Myrtle Beach Police Department if I can grow facial hair and also look like a DevGru operator while
They're both devout leftists. No, I know them personally. I like these guys. I know they have great politics. I think I just always kind of suck in a breath because I feel as if I have this. I think I have a larger issue with this culture of men. I don't know if I can really articulate it properly right now, but I feel like I look around and I still see a lot of bro culture, even when it's men who have good politics and who I know are good dudes. And I know that they're pointing out the absurdity here, but there still is the kind of I don't know. Like, it's just, it's all still too chummy for me. And it's still too, and I don't even mean necessarily this, like specifically this. It's in general. I mean, I don't like that. I don't like that leftists got way too comfortable with what's his name? The workout guy who's another right wing. Who's that fucking guy? Bradley Martin. Yes. Bradley Martin. I see Bradley Martin. It's not even leftist. It's like in the Twitch space. Bradley Martin was at, I think, Streamer Games. I don't know. There's, like I said, I think someone else who's better at communicating. I'd like to read a piece on this, or maybe I just need to. Maybe I just need to kind of formulate my thoughts better. But there is something that's been bothering me for quite some time about I don't know. I gotta think about it. Yeah, I think it's one that I just have to think about more. And I think it probably relates with my feeling that a lot of leftists, a lot of male leftists, and I actually don't really feel this way about Boy and I Did a Thing. They don't really give me this vibe. But a lot of male leftists, I get that they are dudes, but it feels like it's a culture that, yes, the politics are better, but it's still too bro culture. They're men first and leftists second, a lot of them. Yeah, it's the way that I feel like men only support men. You know? The dark woke dirtbag leftist issue. Yes, where it's like straight white dudes supporting other straight white dudes. And I think it's also that I'm so tired of the reality that both men and women prioritize male voices because of how we have been socially conditioned to view men as authority. And it doesn't matter what your politics are. And so seeing that in leftist spaces is something that I think I do have to call out in particular, because that reinforces that reinforces these beliefs that are very harmful about gender. And I just think that I have a problem with there being too many men who dominate in these spaces who still act as gatekeepers, who still really prioritize other men's voices, especially when they are all in the same group. You know, they are often straight, cis, white, male. And then there's kind of been this resurgence of, I feel, bro culture because of wanting to counteract this, this performance of masculinity on the right that's very toxic, and it's obviously drives a lot of hate to women and minorities and queer people. But I just think we need to be careful on the left of not thinking that we are not reinforcing the separation just because we're on the left. Hierarchies, regardless of group motivation or composition. Can I just say the whole dark woke thing to me feels like leftists want to say slurs, but against people they don't like, so it's okay to them. It feels like the dark woke thing is also being used to try and say, no, it's making leftism cool. You know, I feel like I'm seeing performance still on the left. How are we calling out performative masculinity when I feel like I'm seeing a lot of this performance still with leftist men? I think a lot of men don't know about the history of women in socialist revolutionary movements, and they think it's all Lenin and Castro being Chads. So dudes get gatekeepy because they see themselves as part of a vanguard. I guarantee a lot of leftist men have never read any theory by socialist or communist women, have probably not read much, well, in general, but also haven't read from men who are not their in group. At the end of the day, leftist men are still participants and beneficiaries of patriarchy. I'd love to see them do more for us and actually hold other men accountable. Black women have written some bars on contemporary applications of leftist theory. Of course. I don't know. I think sorry, I know this is kind of not super coherent and well thought out, but it just really bothers me that it feels like women and minorities and just marginalized folks on the left, we're constantly having to carve out our own spaces. You know? Constantly. Yeah, we talk about the lack of institutional support with the leftist ecosystem, but then even within the leftist ecosystem, the feeling of the hierarchy and gatekeeping and too much chumminess with men who are often abhorrent in their beliefs and are like bros on the right, but there's something like with internet culture where I don't know, it's Sean talks about this every stream, and it always feels like the critique is ignored on purpose in our corner of the left. It sucks because you can tell some of them are being genuine, but just don't recognize the subconscious bias they hold against feminist theory and inclusion of women in these spaces. Their good intent can't excuse them from that. Totally. And like, again, somebody having a subconscious bias does not mean that they are a bad person. We all have subconscious biases. So this is not me saying that every leftist man is bad because he's still because of misogyny that is still ingrained and a bias, whether or not they recognize it, but it just in general drives me up a fucking wall that the conversation is always about men. It's men engaging with other men, whether they're on the same side or opposite sides. It's men who are always platforming other men. Like, let me just... I think I think it's probably something else that's been whatever. I'm just gonna move on.
On patrol.
Or, maybe it's because police violence helps maintain the safe, private boundaries that let people with money enjoy their wild hobbies, away from the terrifying reality of America. Look, I don't know. These are just our own speculations based on our day with Brandon. We obviously had so many questions about American gun culture, and we finally got an opportunity to sit down and ask Brandon about it. Is there, in your recent memory, has there been an incident where, let's say, someone has, fought against government, someone's killed, a policeman? Have you ever seen that as, the right thing to do?
Yeah, actually, there was a really good example just post-World War II in the States. It was called the Battle of Athens, where it's a bunch of World War II veterans basically returned back.
Even the Hassan discourse has been about Dems need to reach young men, no mention of women. I know. And I've said before, but after the third or fourth time that a male journalist reached out to me to ask about how the manosphere affects young men and how Hassan, it was like a piece they were writing on Hassan and how he's a savior for young men. And I said, are you interested in talking about women at all? Are you interested in talking about young women who've been left behind, who feel alienated, who are experiencing a loneliness crisis, who are being radicalized, anything, women who are the victims of this misogyny in the manosphere, but we only want to talk about men?
Back and found that a bunch of the people that didn't go off to fight had taken over and basically corrupted their county election. And a bunch of World War II vets basically said, no.
It's like the manosphere affects women, but women are only a footnote here in so much as talking about the type of content that drives the manosphere, content that is deeply, deeply sexist and misogynistic, that is incredibly harmful, but women aren't the center of the story. There's there's 10,000 fucking pieces on the manosphere in the mainstream media, documentaries, so much media that always the focus is on men, the men who have gained these huge followings, the men who are these viewers and have gotten sucked up into this. Young women aren't even getting asked how they're doing. I know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm tired of it. And I think what also kills me is I know that when I say this stuff, when I try and talk about it, leftists get mad, or they'll be like, oh, she's annoying. It's like if they're going to watch a female commentator, female leftist commentator, then there are still limits to what can be said. I've been thinking about this for a while, but have you ever thought about writing articles about women in the alt-right pipeline? I'm sure your journalist friends can help find a publisher. I mean, I have so many friends who do talk about it and write about it, and we talk about it all the time. And my medium is speaking online, so I don't know. Eventually, maybe if I return to writing, but yeah, right now it's more of that I do, like I just speak on the internet rather than write stuff down. Although sometimes I feel like it's just easier for me if I do try to write something so I can sort through my thoughts.
And surrounded and besieged the courthouse. And when the National Guard showed up, they're like, yeah, no, they cleared everybody. They're like, yeah, you guys, actually this was pretty okay.
Honestly, this is an inspiring story. An armed population rising up against a corrupt government. But it was also 100 years ago. I mean, ignoring the recent rise of America's police state. So we wanted to see what Brandon thinks tyranny looks like today.
When does a government overstep that contract? Like, is there like a hypothetical situation where you think guns should be used to defend your democratic rights?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. That's one that I would say is definitely not up to me. I hope it's never up to me, because that's not going to be fun for me. The U.S. is kind of seen as like the last bastion of, I guess, personal firearm rights in the world. I would definitely see a situation where if
the last bastion, I feel like we've always been the only
in gun control, that would do it. I really do think there would be a lot of people that would be willing to die on that hill.
It became pretty obvious
the way
that
some
we've got
leftists
different
actually think the
ideas
quote
of
was
what
women hold up
tyranny
between
is.
10
For
and
us, it was
15%
already
in the
happening while a
sky.
lot of these gun guys cheer it on. But for his community, the threat of tyranny comes first and foremost from the government's ability to take away your guns. But coming from a country that, ended mass shootings by taking away people's guns, it was time to talk about what brought us to this town in the first place.
Down the road, Uvalde shooting just recently.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think gun control would address that issue?
No, I really don't think so. Because you have a bunch of shootings like this where, for example, like
Ty guy, I
that
think it
kid,
is 17
he was
months.
18 years old, is an adult, really.
Yeah.
He would have passed every background check. He had no felonies on his record. There's no indicator that anything would have happened.
I
So
can't believe
passing
this guy
more
is going to be a
restricted background checks would
congressman.
solve nothing.
And I
So
can't
Brandon's-
believe he's going to be a congressman because the guy who just dropped out is a sexual abuser.
Ruling out that lax gun laws are the issue, why do these things happen?
So what do you think some of the reasons that school shootings might be so prolific in America?
There's a ton of reasons, frankly. One of them is media proliferation. Like, it's becoming a more and more talked about thing. Like, if you want to get a manifesto out there to the public, all you have to do is, grab the tool and go do the thing.
For Australia, we do have the same media, they showed their names and they showed everything like that. So it's like, from our opinion, that there seems to be something else happening there just besides the media that's maybe uniquely American or...
A lot of the issues, if you look at the actual people doing this kind of stuff, you have broken homes and a lot of times fatherless youths that are lost. And you come from a very, very troubled background. A lot of bad stuff can happen.
Yeah.
So do you think there's a strong link with poverty then? Or...
Oh, definitely. Yeah, 100%. Like poverty, which goes hand in hand with, poorer education, which poverty also goes hand in hand with, again, broken homes, broken families. Like there's a strong link to a bunch of problems that are hard to solve.
I think what confuses me is that that's not unique to America in the sense that, you've got these kinds of people who are left behind, all around the world, but they don't have the same problem of like mass shooting events.
Right, and they don't have specific problem of mass shootings because that is a less available tool, but you have incidents like in Nice, France, for example, where you could just take a truck and drive it through, a crowd of hundreds.
Yeah, no, we do that in the United States as well. We drive trucks through crowds as well.
People. I think that's what a lot of people get wrong is they compare statistics of gun crime. I think the overall statistic should be homicides versus homicides.
Yeah.
I don't think little Jimmy cares what was used to kill his father.
I don't know the exact statistics. I looked it up briefly before, but obviously there's way less gun crime because no one has the guns. But just in terms of general homicide as well, it's much lower in Australia. So it is interesting that there is a big difference. And I guess on that point, I would agree that.
I mean, even with the homicide rate, we have like the highest homicide rate among affluent nations.
Obviously, those are the main things that cause people to want to hurt one another's, but then having that ease of access to tools
very
that make
homicidal
it easier
nation.
in those situations, to me seems like possibly not the best idea. It's maybe the problem should be fixed first before the guns are introduced.
We're a country that cherishes and celebrates violence. We are an extremely, extremely violent nation. I think he's legit an idiot.
Does that make sense at all? Or?
Well, I think you'll have an issue with fixing the problem, for one. Two, a country like the United States where guns were kind of like
I
part
think
of the
this video
founding.
might be
Guns
what
have
you're
been
trying to say. She's an amazing creator. I'll have to check it out. Thank you.
widely proliferated. There are more guns than people in this country, and that is one of those things, like, you can't put the cat back in the cage, so to speak.
We learnt a lot here. You know, in a sense, we agree with Brandon that the American mass shooting phenomenon has multiple complex causes. We didn't even touch on the fact that it's almost exclusively men who do these crimes. Obviously, the issue is deeper than just guns. But we do still think that gun control measures would end up saving lives in the country, right? And after what we experienced in Texas, I mean, the right to bear arms feels more like a fun hobby or a subculture rather than an indispensable part of a functioning democracy.
We never look for the root cause? Of course not. Because then we'd actually have to address shit.
That was a very, very good video, Alexa.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Very good.
Yeah.
And thank you to our Patreons for making a video like that possible.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we couldn't have done it.
Oh, God. Is Brandon Herrera the first YouTuber who's going to be in Congress? Is he the first? I do think it's an important point to call out leftist men, but do you think it's unproductive to do so since it's the reflection of broader society? They're like rabid dogs we tame to team with us. Do I think it's unproductive since it reflects broader society? No, I think it's productive because it reflects broader society. I think I'm always fair though, where I say, look, I'm not equating leftist men who have an issue still with misogyny with like Andrew Tate, with violent, abhorrent men on the right. You know, I have a lot of male friends who are leftist men, but it's still a matter of like, hey, this is a societal issue. And being on the left, I'm well aware of the I'm well aware of the hierarchy still, even in leftist spaces. I'm aware of the fact that a lot of people still prioritize male voices, especially when those male voices are cis, white, straight male voices. There's still this issue with that. And misogyny not being talked about, taken seriously on the left is a big factor in liberal women going down the TERF pipeline. Yeah, there are multiple reasons why women I see become radicalized. And yes, specifically the issue of feminists who then are actually trans exclusive. You know, they are feminists except for trans women. And I think, okay, so the problem is that we should not be coming from a place solely of identity politics. Support this woman because she's a woman, no matter that she is a war hawk, no matter that she is a neocon, no matter that, you know, she has terrible class politics. Support her because she's a woman. No, that's bad. That is bad identity politics. But I think what happens with a lot of then these leftists who are all only about class politics is they remove the intersection. They remove the identity. And I will see women, liberal women, express valid frustrations about the prevalence of misogyny, but they're also incorrect in their political understandings. You know, where when I was a Hillary Clinton supporter, I very much was driven by identity politics, prioritizing Hillary being a woman over everything else. But that does not mean that I will deny the forces of misogyny and sexism that do make it harder for women to succeed in all areas. So with Kamala Harris, I rejected, and I still reject the idea that Kamala lost solely because she's a black woman, but I do not deny the reality of misogynoir. That is a reality. It does not mean, though, that Kamala should have been president simply because she's a black woman, nor did she not become president solely because of misogynoir. And that was stated as fact by a lot of liberals, a lot of K-hivers, but also just liberals in general. And they used that to blame the pro-Palestine crowd. They use that to blame trans people. They use that, funny enough, to blame people who themselves are obviously motivated by their own identities. Multiple things can be true, and that is intersectionality. Yeah. So I think I think sometimes I'm sitting back and I see I get the frustration, the recognizing of how much sexist and misogynistic language is used on the left. But obviously you cannot remove class from your analysis. And Kamala Harris was not a friend to the working class, but Kamala Harris is also a woman, a black woman who has experienced misogynoir her entire life. So I don't know. As far as it being productive, I think it's necessary. I think it's always necessary to be rooting out societal biases, and especially when they show themselves in leftist spaces, in working class movements, you know, with people who call themselves a part of the revolution. You cannot build a better world. You cannot build a new world if you are still contributing to marginalization, if you're still a part of the problem. Because as we're fighting to have equality for the proletariat, you can't be doing racism and sexism along the way. And the truth is that even if socialism or communism were to be implemented, that's not going to then, it's not going to be a snap of the fingers and racism is gone or, sexism is gone. That's crazy. That's crazy to think that if tomorrow we were to have a socialist society, that all these other things would disappear because people have more class equality. And it's just completely denying how patriarchy and capitalism go hand in hand. I am not denying capitalism when I fight against patriarchy. I'm not denying the it being intertwined with capitalism, but I feel like a lot of times people who are all about taking down capitalism deny patriarchy. They deny how white supremacy, patriarchy, capitalism, these systems of oppression they work together. They benefit from one another. I understand that having more women in power isn't going to improve material conditions for women just by virtue of having a woman as president. I get that. But I think, on the other hand, people who argue from a class first perspective and ignore everything else, they actually are denying the need to fight and root out these forms of oppression that are socially constructed. Look at Fidel addressing the issue of machismo and the revolution. Yes, I mean, with the Black Panthers, a lot of Black women revolutionaries who tried to call out abuse, who tried to call out misogyny and sexism. And look at this, what just happened with the reveal around Cesar Chavez. It's not class, it's class versus not class only. Yeah. If you don't want to address the intersections within your movement, you more or less end up using those marginalized people you're advocating for what's become team sports for you. Yeah, and I think leftists kind of have this attitude that they are immune to bigotry and they are not the problem in perpetuating biases, but just because they are ideologically left, it feels like, oh no, once you get to that point, then you're good. It's like, you think I'm the problem, and I'm like, everything's the problem. Everything is the problem. And frankly, when you're on the left, yes, the standards are very high. No, you should not be held. No, it's like, am I holding leftist men to a high standard in a way that I'm not with Andrew Tate because he's fucking Andrew Tate, because he's a goddamn sex trafficker and a rapist? I am not holding on to any hope that Andrew Tate can be better. That man needs to go to prison. But yeah, it's this like silly notion that there shouldn't be higher standards because your politics are better. Well, that actually informs the standards being higher, because of what you are, what you have aligned yourself with, who you say you've aligned yourself with. And I don't think I think leftists will get really they'll get really sensitive about it and feel as if they're being canceled, or as if it's like, oh, the too woke standards out here, making it so that no one is going to want to join the movement. I don't know, whatever excuses are used. And I'm just like, don't you think we should expect better for ourselves? Don't you think that we should be the ones setting the example here? There was accusation of sexual abuse done by leader of the flotilla for Gaza. It's not being addressed properly. I did see something briefly on that. I need to look at that more, but I mean, this is what happens when sexual abuse, when power dynamics, when abuse of power is still not treated seriously, and it will manifest itself on the left. I can't find the comment to reply to it, but somebody made an excellent point that over half of white women voted Trump, and there's been no hand-wringing about bringing them back into the Dem fold. Yeah, that's a good point. Why is it that we are just always ignoring women in every regard? Whether it's ignoring women who are being hurt the most by manosphere influencers, ignoring women who are currently being radicalized to the right, ignoring women who have voted for Republicans for decades, ignoring women on the left, like just ignoring women everywhere, not including them in the fight at all, whether it is trying to bring women into the fold or trying to protect women who are already in the fold. Sean often talks about how white people are more upset about being called racist rather than the racism that's actually happening. And I think the same goes for misogyny. Yeah. And look, I understand being subjected to constant bad faith attacks when you are a leftist and when you are especially a leftist online. Just the more attention you have on you, the more those attacks will seem constant. I get that. I experience that. I experience that all the time. But I think then people who have experienced that then will act very sensitively when there's any criticism coming from their side, because they're like, I already get this bad enough. We already have to deal with these attacks from the right, from the center, from liberals. It's a reactionary defensiveness. Yeah. And I'm like, well, hold on a second. I have to deal with that shit too. I deal with that shit too. But it's not an excuse then to be completely let off the hook. I think it comes from us feeling like we can just focus on substance over aesthetics. So critiques of bro culture, which can crowd women out, is labeled as identity politics. I was just recently called out for being broy and misogynistic. It felt very bad to hear, but was true. And look, I don't think I want to be clear because I'm sure there's some people who will take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to say like just by virtue of being a bro, you are bad. Okay. And I get the value for men who can appeal to young men who are not going to be, they have the very narrow field of who they will listen to. And it is about aesthetics. A lot of this is about aesthetics. It's about what seems cool, what seems like something you want to inspire to be. But it's when bro culture is everything then of who gets to of what it all comes down to, whether it's like the manosphere versus then the leftist bro culture. It still is this constant focus and prioritizing of men, of straight men. There's still so many online leftists who do activism through defending their fave streamer when none of that matters. Content creators are not bringing the revolution, indeed. And I'm sorry to use this example. Actually, I'm not sorry, and it's not that Hassan, obviously, he doesn't encourage this, but Hassan has a lot of young men in his chat. And every time a woman is on screen, many of them are not normal. Like, that is not okay. That is not okay. That every fucking time a woman is on screen, you instantly become creeps. You objectify, you act like fucking weirdo creeps. That to me is when it really shows, what I'm talking about here really shows itself. It's really uncomfortable. Even like for me, I've been friends with Hassan for a long time, but not everybody in his community is going to know who I am. And so it's like, I don't want to feel as if, if I go on his stream, are people going to be fucking weird about it? Are they going to be like, ooh, she's clearly into him, objectifying me, only seeing me in proximity to like thinking I want to have sex with your favorite streamer? It's the type of thing that like that behavior, it needs to, that needs to end. And just because you are in a community with leftists and your streamer is a leftist doesn't mean that that's okay. It's not okay. You need to be better. Thankfully, the mods ban. Yes. Shout out to the mods. They're amazing. They're on that shit. But it is, and I get that there are the individuals who are extra bad and they'll be instantly yeeted. But there's kind of beyond that a broader, way too parasocial, way too easily getting into that misogyny territory, It happened the other day when he was IRL. Mods were on it fast. Yeah, they are doing the Lord's work. They really are. And here's the thing. I get that a lot of people who are watching because they think he's cool. Maybe they were previously falling down the right-wing pipeline, found Hassan, but they still got a lot of work to do. But it's aesthetics, right? So not everybody who watches him is an actual diehard socialist or communist. A lot of them are kind of still, I would say, maybe not totally defined, but they're there for the vibes. They're there because of the whole aesthetic. Anyway, you just have to use that community as the example because, and I love a lot of Hasanami heads. Y'all are great, and I know we got someone here, so it's a huge community. I'm not talking about every single person, but also it's the one that I have to point to because it is by far and away the largest leftist community on Twitch. Probably on the internet, at least one of them. But anyway, and I know that the things I'm addressing, a lot of people in that community experience as well. This is not something that, this is not me expressing something that a lot of people also don't have an issue with, Not to defend anyone, but isn't the point rehabilitation? Sure, but that's why I'm saying people need to be better. Not all Hasanavi heads. Yeah, what I'm saying is that we need to be better. We do need to hold ourselves to higher standards. There is no being let off the hook because we call ourselves leftists. You got to do the rehabilitation part. Yes, yes, the point is the rehabilitation. The point is always trying to be better. But that's why we're addressing this. As a Hassan head, I noticed rather than educating himself on women's issues, he shrugs, gives an offhand statement. I think that's a big issue as well, where he just says he doesn't educate himself on it. It's a mutual issue. Yeah, I mean, at least he knows what he's best at. Because in the past, I will say he has fucked up. When it comes to, I hate to call it women's issues because it's really everybody's issue. And so now he'll say like, that's obviously not my expertise, which is true. But I think what happens is some of his fans will not think something is serious if Hassan doesn't cover it thoroughly. And this is a problem I experience because then things that I cover and from my perspective are devalued. And it's not because he's explicitly saying like things Caroline covers aren't important. It's because of, honestly, it's parasocialism, and it's also deferring to Hassan on everything. So if he doesn't address it, then it means it's not important. If he waves something off and it's like, that's not something that I'm best at, it's not like they will go seek out people who are. They only listen to him, get everything from him, which then will limit them. I think I agree with you, but I'm going to need Hassan's take on it first. Totally. I get it. A lot of them need a bigger, yes. In general, I always say, please expand what you are consuming. Please be reading. Please be reading. Don't just watch somebody sit there and talk, whoever it is. Reading is good. Reading is important. Reading will really open you up to a lot of really brilliant, diverse thinkers out there. Read transcripts of Caroline's stream. Yes, starting with that. Absolutely. Is there a reasonable way to talk about men that display toxic misogynist behaviors also being victims of patriarchy due to the expectations that are placed on them during their upbringing? I talk about that all the time. Patriarchy is bad for all of us. That's why, like, again, women's issues, well, it's all of our issues. Black issues, it's all of our issues. It may be something that is most directly impacting the person who's, the group whose issue it's labeled as, but it's a sign of, it's a sign of rot in society. So it's not women's issues so far that it only impacts women. We all live under a white supremacist, patriarchal, capitalist system. And it affects us all. I remember I found myself defending Mike from PA, and then afterwards Mike apologized because he was wrong, and I had to re-examine myself in that situation. It happens. I mean, Mike's a guy that has fucked up too, but I think he tries to recognize when he has. I mean, I think he knows that he makes mistakes, and but it's the same thing too. Like any, Mike's chatters, if they're mad at anyone who's got fair criticism for him, it's like, you're doing the thing too. You're doing the thing. You're idolizing. You are treating a streamer as the ultimate word on everything. And you are making excuses for when they objectively fuck up. And you shouldn't put that like perfection on them either, because nobody is perfect. And I think there is recognizing when someone has the ability to engage with good faith criticism, and that not everything is not everything is just a hit, not everything is a smear or a hit or an unfair call out or whatever kind of people will say when their streamer is on the receiving end of criticism from their own. I just realized all my chat messages make it look like I hate you. I genuinely love your streams and appreciate your point of view. I'm looking at your chat messages and it says, I hate Caroline Kwan. I'm just kidding. I wish people could see that all the decent leftist streamers tend to have different lanes. You're not getting a good media diet fixating on one all the time, especially not if you don't use them as springboards for discovering books, documentaries, films, etc. Yeah, totally. And I think we just have to stay away from the team sports of it all. We can't do it. We can't do that. Let's not do that. It's what we call out. It's what we call out liberals for. We call out the cult aspect, cult of personality, idolizing, and putting people on pedestals. And I think it's always remember who the enemy is. Remember who the enemy is. And the enemy is not this person because they're on one side of the aisle. The enemy is the oppression that they are perpetuating, that they're participating in. The enemy is Katy Perry. So misogyny and sexism, no matter who is perpetrating it, that is the enemy. Capitalism, no matter who is perpetuating it, that is the enemy. The enemy is Club Chalamet. Yeah. Remember who the enemy is. I mean, I truly think about that line all the time. I do, from Hunger Games. Remember who the enemy is. I'm not ashamed to admit how often I think of that line. It's a good line. It is. Patriarchy, capitalism, imperialism. Yes. Yeah. All right. Flowy Chloe, thank you for the 11 months. End Day Man, thank you for the 9 months. Whispers, thank you for the 14 months. I hope that made sense. I hope that made sense.